Hi guys, it's me, E. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my 2021 New Year's resolutions that I made last year, and I'm going to be talking about whether or not I actually accomplished any of my goals. I know it's been a while since you've seen me in this format on this channel, but I just wanted to do this because I made the video at the beginning of the year and I wanted to kind of give a follow-up and check in on that. So the first thing of my New Year's resolutions, I made a whole separate video about it, was my no-buy year and my money-related goals. And to be honest, I don't really feel like I did that well with it because I just wasn't really thinking about it and being conscientious of it this year. So for instance, like with the clothing, I had said initially that I wanted us to get 3 new pieces of clothing per season as our goal or limit for that. And I wound up doing that basically without really thinking about it much, but I wound up buying new underwear and a new bathing suit, and I didn't really think about budgeting for that. I didn't really account for that when I made the goal at the beginning of the year, so I just wasn't thinking about it. Likewise, my husband, he wound up getting 17 new articles of clothing this year, but a lot of them were ties, and it's like, does that really count? I just didn't really think it through. And then for entertainment, I said that we should spend $240 over the course of the year on entertainment related stuff. We went to go see a couple movies, Jungle Cruise and Dune, but then like a lot of the entertainment related stuff that we did was when we had family in town visiting. So we bought a bunch of museum tickets and zoo tickets, and my husband and I got Six Flags season passes because his sister was coming with her kids and we were all gonna go, and if we got a Six Flags pass we would get the free parking, and then we could go a couple other times throughout the year ourselves. And we didn't really think about fitting that into that $240 budget. And honestly, I don't really even know. I can't even guess at how much we spent on all those tickets and stuff, but then it's also like, are we really gonna count stuff that we did with family? Again, just wasn't being very conscientious about it. And then like I said that we could get 1 video game per quarter. I only wound up getting 1 video game myself, which was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which wound up being a good purchase, but my husband wound up getting 5 video games this year. Again, just not really thinking about things. And then while I didn't get video games, I did wind up buying the first 3 seasons of Haikyuu on Blu-ray, because even though they're on streaming services that I subscribe to, I was just afraid that they'd be taken off and I wouldn't be able to find them, and I just wanted to have access to them no matter what. So I didn't really budget for that or think about that at the beginning of the year. I didn't know that I was going to get into a show and want to own it on Blu-ray. So it's hard to plan for things and to think of every little thing you could possibly need to buy and to budget for it or to set a limit on it. And then when the time comes and the moment's there, you just wind up buying it without thinking of it or thinking about your goals on a large scale, which is kind of where we were this year. For travel, I had said that we could go on 1 trip of like $1,000 or less or something. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't go anywhere this year. We only traveled to go see family, and the only cost really associated with that was just the gas, and my parents pay for the gas when we go to see them anyway, so it was free basically. For food, I had said that we could go out to eat, I think, twice a month. I think that we probably did go out to eat more than twice a month, sometimes quite often, but other months not. It just depended, and the biggest day, I guess, of like temptation or whatever to go out to eat was Sunday afternoons. And a lot of times it was like we would get a coupon from Chili's or whatever, and it's like, if I get a coupon, I don't really feel bad going. But still, again, just not really thinking about it and being conscientious about it. And otherwise, I said that our grocery budget per month would be $300, and I think we probably did stick to that pretty well because we don't eat expensive food at home, and generally our grocery budget comes in between $50 and $100 per week. So that's we probably stayed pretty much on target with that. Going forward, like, eating out is just so expensive these days. It's like really not worth it anymore. And so I really want to focus next year on eating out less and less and just not wasting money on that. For makeup, I said as needed, and the only thing I really needed was a new mascara. For home goods, I had said something about like storage solutions or a piece of furniture or whatever if we needed it, and we didn't buy any of that stuff, but I did buy a throw blanket for Halloween, and a new candy dish for Halloween, just little stuff like that. But that's basically the only home goods-y type things that I bought this year. I didn't even get any Christmas ornaments, which I usually go ham on. So that, I guess I exercised restraint in that regard. For the money thing overall, we just had a lot of medical expenses we weren't expecting this year, like my dog's cataract surgery, for instance, and all of my medical visits. And then my computer broke and we had to get that replaced. I mean, it's interest free for 36 months, but that's still a monthly payment on my computer. I got a new phone. My husband's phone just broke and he had to get a new phone. So it's like, you make all these goals. To be honest, like, I'm hard on myself. We really didn't spend that much frivolous money this year, but like, you make all these goals for wanting to save, and then just life happens and gets in the way. And it's like, all this money that I wanted to save, like, we did save money this year so that, you know, we could buy Christmas presents and stuff like that, but not as much as I really wanted to. And it's just like, to a certain extent, like, you feel helpless about it, like there's nothing you can do to change it. I don't know. I wish I felt more empowered in this area, in this aspect of life. My husband just finished his graduate degree program, so we are not going to have to pay for classes, at least for a little while, but his student loans were in deferment and he's taking time off from school, which means that he's going to have to start paying them again. So the student loan payment will be less than the actual school payment was, but it's still another financial burden. So I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what next year will hold in that regard. But anyway, money's depressing. So let's move on to talk about organization. I have 2 closets that I said I wanted to clean out this year, and I did clean them both out. One of the closets, which was my craft closet, is pretty much still in good shape and looks the same. If anything, I've kind of decorated it more because I also have like my toys in there, and so I kind of have fiddled with the closet, but it's still clean and organized. The other closet being my clothing closet, and basically I think it's probably better to do it twice a year, but starting in 2020 I'm gonna have to clean it out again a second time. Even though I only got 12 articles of clothing, it just feels like the closet explodes. I don't know how else to describe it. I just need to get rid of stuff. I mean, part of it is that there were clothes that I got this year that were bought for me by like my mom and stuff, so I do have a bunch more clothes in my closet, so I need to purge. So for health related things, I said that I wanted to lose, I think, 8 pounds this year. I started out at 158, which I didn't realize until I started looking at my New Year's resolution stuff from last year. I couldn't remember what my starting weight was at the beginning of 2021. But I did lose the 8 pounds I said I wanted to lose, and I got down to 150. And then from there, I decided I wanted to lose another 3 pounds to get down to 147. It's so arbitrary, but for my height, 147 is right in the middle of the BMI range for like a healthy weight. So I was like, I'll be right in the middle of the weight range for a healthy BMI. And so that's why I shot for 147. But as the year went on, I wound up losing more weight. And so right now I didn't lose a ton of weight after the 147, but I'm more around like 142 to 145 now. So I'm hovering in that kind of area. Like on a really skinny day, I'd be 140, but on a chubby day, I'd be 145. Again, these are totally arbitrary numbers. And I'm mostly happy with that. I'm fine with that. But I would say that like I did achieve my weight loss goal. It wasn't hugely important to me, but I did do it. The other thing health related this year was trying to get pregnant, which obviously you can tell from the weight loss conversation, the pregnancy thing didn't happen. And obviously, like, it's just something I have to be fine with. It's another thing that's kind of out of your control, and you have such a limited ability to make any difference in it. Like, obviously there are things we tried to do. We went and got medical treatment and stuff that just didn't work. And so we're still making progress, I guess, toward trying to have a family, but it's just gonna take a different form, take a different shape than what we originally thought or hoped might be the case for us. But that's something that will obviously get explored more in 2022, but that's where we are with that right now. I made like a spiritual category of goals, which I won't get into too much, but I did do the Bible reading that I intended to do this year, but there were some other things that I feel like I wasn't as proactive about as I could have been. So that's just something to think about for next year, is trying to be more proactive about those things. And I think especially with like kind of the disappointment I experienced in other areas of life, building up my spiritual life will probably help with that. As far as like the hobbies thing, okay, that was a huge category and probably the one I focused the most on, which is probably a good thing. But for hobbies and creative stuff, I switched gears, as you all know, in March. I was originally focused on putting out 1 or 2 videos a week, but I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I really pivoted, and I didn't officially or formally change what my goals were going to be, though I kind of did in my mind. So the goal to make 1 or 2 videos a week became irrelevant, and so I switched gears to do 1 or 2 blog posts per week. And then obviously blog posts don't take as much time as a video, so I sort of supplemented that with focusing on writing more fan fiction, which sounds stupid, but in March, when I gave up making YouTube videos with that frequency, I really did pour more of my creative energy into writing fan fiction, which is so inconsequential but just so fun. And I wound up writing over 200,000 words this year in fan fiction alone, and like that's such a huge number. That's like the length of multiple novels, and I just pumped out fan fiction like crazy, and I just had so much fun with it, and I got so much like feedback and validation and comments and likes and engagement and just conversations with people, even short conversations, and it was a lot of fun. And so like I'm really glad that I made that switch from doing YouTube mostly to doing fan fiction more, because I just really enjoyed it a lot more. And I'm, pleased that I still was able to publish some YouTube videos, more like on a monthly basis than on a weekly basis, so I didn't give anything up totally. For reading, I said that I wanted to read 8 books for pleasure this year, and it's kind of tricky. So I did read, I think, 3 real books. So I read Lemonade Mouth, I read the sequel to Lemonade Mouth, and then I read a book called Gentle and Lowly, which is like a Christian nonfiction book. Otherwise, I mostly read manga because I was getting into anime this year. So I read a bunch of manga, and I also read some Avatar: The Last Airbender comic books. And so I feel like if you can count any of that as books, then I definitely would say I read 8 books. Like a manga volume is not, even though it's as thick as a novel, it's not as many words as a novel, but I was reading like entire series. And so I don't know, I think that counts. It took me like, some of these manga series, it took me like over a month to read, whereas a novel would only take me 2 or 3 days. So I would definitely think that like in terms of quantity of reading, I read a lot this year. And not to mention the fan fiction I was reading in addition to the fan fiction I was writing. So I think that 8 books became a lot less formal, just in the same way that like my other creative goals became less formal this year. But I think that I still did a lot of creative things and hobby related things. For video games, I said that I wanted to play more of the Sims 400 baby challenge file that I had, and I wanted to add 20 babies to it, which really isn't that much, but I still only managed to get 17 babies added in this year. But whatever. I haven't picked it up in a while, but I got a new computer, as I mentioned earlier, and I think it'll run it a little bit better, so I'm excited to jump back into it in the new year. I also said I wanted to revisit Animal Crossing for the GameCube, and I did, probably not to the extent that I was hoping to. Like, I think I really wanted to complete the museum collections, but I made progress, but I did not really invest, and part of the reason is that my GameCube's internal clock is messed up, so time doesn't progress in the game like it's supposed to. So every time I go to play Animal Crossing, I have to manually reset the clock, and that's just annoying. It's such a small thing, but it really does make me not want to play, because going through all those menus to change the time is irritating. I also said that I wanted to create 1 digital art piece per month, which I did. And in some months I made more than one, so that was cool. And I also said that I wanted to make a planner full of sketches, and I did make a planner full of sketches. I don't have it with me now, but I did that, and it's awesome, and I really like it. It's fun. So overall, to summarize, I feel like I stayed on top of my personal goals this year, like my creative goals, my hobbies, and my health related goals, like the weight loss and stuff like that. I also had a lot of fun this year exploring anime and new fandoms related to that, and also like really investing in fan fiction and fan art this year, just stuff that was really self-indulgent and really just fun. And I, got more involved with Reddit this year, which Reddit is kind of an iffy website, but like the fan communities on there are pretty fun. And I feel like I stayed inspired with creativity. And I, with the weight loss thing, I wound up losing double the amount of weight that I said I wanted to lose. Money related stuff, like I said, I feel like I could have been more conscientious about it. Half the time, my lack of success was due to not being conscientious, but the other half of the time it was just from stuff that couldn't be helped. And the money stuff, like, I'm disappointed, but not really. Like I said, I don't really feel like the outcome was that different from what would have happened if I had really, really buckled down. Like I said at the beginning of the video, 2021 was a hard year for everybody. It was hard for us in a personal way, with my husband finishing school and with having to drive back and forth into the city to go to medical appointments for me and for the dog. And so I feel like with all of those things in mind, I'm not going to be too hard on myself for the ways in which I feel like I failed this year. So I feel like for creativity, I switched things up a bit, but I give myself an A+ for staying creative this year. For the health related things, which again, me losing weight is really not a measure of health per se, because it's not like I'm a nutritionist, and it's not like I'm really like that knowledgeable about working out. So I could be like screwing my body up losing weight this way, but whatever. I'm gonna give myself an A+ because I did everything I could this year and I crushed my goals. For money, I'm gonna give myself a C+. For the spiritual side of things, I'm gonna give myself a B-. And for organization, I'm gonna give myself an A- just because I didn't keep up with keeping things organized as much as I could. So that was 2021. An okay year, pretty good year in terms of my goals. For 2022, I'm going to, in a lot of ways, keep things the same. For money, I don't think I'm gonna call it a no-buy year. I think that's just stupid. And like, if I call it a no-buy year, all I can do is fail, because there's like no room for error. If you buy something you don't need to buy, you failed the no-buy year already. I don't think it's really helpful to call something a no-buy, but like my general idea is that I'm going to try and reduce the amount we eat out, which I keep saying, but especially now because it's gotten so expensive, but use like coupons and gift cards to go out to eat. Unlimited. So if Chili's wants to keep sending me coupons, I'll keep eating at Chili's and not feel bad about it. But otherwise, only eat out for special occasions. And like, what is a special occasion? Like Valentine's or an anniversary or a birthday or a holiday, or even just like a date night. And obviously date night can be anything. Like sitting in the car in the parking lot of McDonald's and eating a Big Mac can be a date night. So I know I'm being kind of vague. I just don't want to be too hard on myself about if I go out to eat when I don't intend to. If I want to orchestrate a special event so that I have an excuse to go out to eat, I think that's fine. But otherwise, I really want us to really focus on eating at home. It's just hard to cook all the time. It gets so tiring, but even fast food restaurants are ridiculously expensive. So what can you do? For home goods, I would say that I want to keep to purchasing home goods rarely, like a unique Halloween decoration or a unique Christmas decoration. And again, storage solutions and stuff like that, I'm always going to be okay with. Things to make life more smooth and easy, and just things that feel like necessities are okay. But otherwise, like, I think our home is pretty well decorated. I forgot last year I did buy this little lizard thing that hangs above that door back there, which you might not be able to see, but there's a door back there that I have a lizard that hangs above, but it was like $7, so I forgot about that. But like little things like that I guess are okay, but in general we don't really need that kind of stuff. For entertainment, I think the 1 video game per quarter rule is fine, and I'm going to keep that in place. Otherwise, I think like if we're gonna do something with other people, it should just be unlimited. Like I don't want to feel like I can't do this other thing that I want to do because we spent $20 going to see a movie with these people. You know, I don't want to feel like doing things with other people takes away my ability to enjoy things on my own, if that makes any sense. So I'm just not going to put any limits on things that we do with other people. And for like in terms of personal stuff, like I don't want to get Six Flags Pass again because Six Flags sucks. I'm just going to say it. Six Flags is the worst amusement park chain in the world. And like they're just so cheap. The Six Flags near where I live is like the original and it still sucks. So it's like I have no confidence that Six Flags knows how to run any parks. And I don't want to buy their passes or support them anymore in any way, shape, or form, honestly. Maybe occasionally we can rent a movie or go see a movie or something like that, but otherwise, like, we have all these streaming services and we have things we can do at home. For makeup, again, as needed. For craft supplies, again, as needed. For travel, we might go to Disneyland this year because there's a convention in the area that we would be interested in going to anyway, so that's something that we're considering. And now that my husband's out of school, I think I can go back to trying to save more of my paychecks. So I think that that's a reasonable goal. For organization, like I said, I want to clean out my closet again. For health related goals, if I manage to get pregnant next year, which I'm not necessarily going to hold my breath over, though we're trying new things. If I do get pregnant, I'm just going to stay the course with eating basically like how I'm eating, just a little bit more, and exercising. If I don't get pregnant, then I would like to see if I could get down to 136 pounds, which it's totally unnecessary. It wouldn't really benefit my health at all, but that's the weight that I was at when I got married. I'd be just interested to see if I could. Otherwise, I would like to learn how to do a push-up this year, and I would like to improve my mile time. Maybe get it down by a minute or two. I'm not even gonna say what my mile time is because it's so embarrassingly slow, but if I could get it down by a minute or two, I think that would be awesome. For spiritual goals, I have a list of resources from my church that I would like to work through this year. And for creative and hobby goals, which is my favorite category, I would like to create a new yearly planner with sketches and illustrations like I did this year. That was awesome. And I would like to continue to upload 1 or 2 YouTube videos per month. I want to return to the Sims 400 baby challenge and try to add 20 babies to it. I would like to make 1 digital art piece per month again. And I would like to, these are new, I would like to write at least 150 words next year, whether that be original fiction, fan fiction, or blog posts, combined 150,000 words. And then I would like to read 5 books for pleasure. That's outside of those recommended resources from my church. So 5 books for pleasure. And I'm gonna go ahead and count. If I decide to like get really into another manga and I read the whole series, I'll count that towards that. But otherwise, 5 books for pleasure. But anyway, that will be my goal for 2022. Those will be my list of resolutions. The money stuff, I'm going to be a little bit less hard on myself, but try to be more conscientious, get a little bit organized in my closet, lose a little weight, maybe get more physically capable, read some books, make some videos, and just have a good time and try to have fun. A lot of what I'm doing right now is just me trying to stave off the big sad by staying active and busy and creative and hobby driven, because if I'm not, then I just come home and zonk out for like 5 hours every night and it makes me depressed. So that's what this is all about, is trying to stay energized, stay lively, and keep enjoying life and making myself enjoy the things that I know that I enjoy. Anyway, I hope that you can do the same thing in 2022. Find things that you enjoy and cling to them and make them a priority in your life, because that's been really helpful for me lately. But anyway, that's all I have for you. Happy New Year. Have a good one. Bye, guys.